Georgia Tech has not won a conference championship since 2009. And today, our challenge is to finally achieve that. And thanks to Loco G404 for taking over the Yellow Jackets. And if you want to see Coach Fotu head to your school next, let me know down in the comments. But Coach Fotu does have a lot of work in front of him. While Georgia Tech has been on a good 3-year build with only one bowl game win in 2023, there is a lot of mediocre play, and we all know that most of the commits, they choose to become a Bulldog. And with a lot of players already deciding they will be transferring before Coach Fotu got here, it's going to be an even harder road. And that includes the graduation of the backbone of this Yellow Jacket teams in Haynes King. We've got a decision to make at quarterback. We're going to need to find a new running back as well, as Jamal Haynes, at least here, projected to go to the draft. We are also graduating 3 of our top receivers. And one of our best offensive linemen not graduating is looking to transfer. Let alone where we get to the defensive side, where again, another potential starter's out the door. We just lost 3 defensive tackles. The linebacker group was already fairly poor. And 2 of the corners that were set to take over for the 2 graduating are also out the door. We've got a challenge ahead of us, but the rebuild starts now. And the good news is, well, we were leading up to this point. We already did get 2 4-stars to commit, both at linebacker, which is massive because there is not much depth there. We did also bring in a safety, but we have 32 available spots, and we're going to look to fill it with all the talent we can. And this is what that board looks like, completely full. Surprisingly, there were just 4 players who were pretty interested in coming here, and one of them, after I put him on the board, seeming like we have fallen off that. Maybe we're listed at 10 for him, but only 4 guys available. However, we're trying a new tactic this time. Instead of focusing on guys who are already interested and in pipelines, I'm just going to take a look at all of the top options that match our school out the gate. So we do have a couple quarterbacks, and after week 1, we'll have to really kind of make a decision, see where we are there. Everyone that we do have pre-interest on, they have 30 points. Everyone else is going to have either 25 or 50, depending on kind of if they're 4-star or 3-star. We do have a number of running backs on the board, a number of receivers there as well. I did end up adding a tight end just because I feel like Georgia Tech would utilize 2 tight ends a little bit more than some other schools. Loaded up on a lot of offensive linemen, 3 well-rounded at tackle, 3 raw strength guys at guard for that power spread style with another well-rounded center. Defensive line, we do need a lot of help there, so I added, again, the top options. Your power is in the mix there with Anthony Smith. Normally, I don't like those, but he is a 4-star, so maybe he plays some DT. I don't even care. If you're a 4-star and you're semi-interested or at least not closed door, we're going to be chatting up a little bit. Have a couple linebackers on the board. It's not as big of a need as I thought it would originally be. Do have some corners on there as well and a decent number of safeties. That is going to be our first week here, and hopefully we're going to find a lot of good news here and guys that are actually interested. So this is where we find out if that new style is going to pay off. And straight up out the gate, I do see some ones on the board. Overall, we've climbed on a lot, but we were also locked out of quite a lot. And I'm going to be honest, going through this again, I realized what happened. Forgot to turn off the auto recruit. For those who are new to this series, as we lead up into us taking over. First, it's always set on All-American because it's straight sim. But leading up to us arriving, I turn on auto recruit so it can do its thing until we get there. Normally, I'm supposed to turn that off. I did forget. Now, as I get this board cleaned up, we're down to 15. Let's talk the good news before we have to reset this board. It did keep some of our top options on the board, and we did make a good amount of progress. However, we did not climb to first for Aaron Nolan, the backfield creator. We did climb up close to second here. It's a tight race for the 4-star cornerback in Washington Jr., though battling with Alabama. We did jump mightily in front for the running back, the elusive Bruiser, trying to dial in that more power spread with Terry and Stewart. and also did jump up a good bit, but not in first for Micah Welch, who was more of that second option, the scat back to the power. Additionally, we also did see a good jump here in Jordan Hall, a defensive tackle, 4-star. Another running back in Turbo Richard that we did jump inside that top 8. However, I feel like this is one we are going to pull off on because Illinois is so far ahead. Now, one thing that I can't decide if I'm happy about or not is it did add in Howard Sampson, a raw strength tackle. I'm normally not too enthused about raw strength tackles, but it looks like Texas and Ohio State have decided this one for me, so he's also off the board. And after trying to avoid that fiasco, did we recover? But it seems like we're already out for our top quarterback option in Air Nolan, so we'll have to pull him off the board. We're also out for our second quarterback option and a number of other different running back options we had on the board. The good news is I did find a 340-pound defensive tackle, and we are in first for him. Now, after shuffling around the points, maximizing what we can, I did add 4 new players to the board here. Another corner, another running back, a 4-star, a north-south receiver I still feel like would fit with this offense, and a couple new quarterback options. Cameron Dyer, he's more of that pure runner, similar to King, but we also added Malachi Nelson. We're going to give all of these guys their scholarship offers, and then with the remaining points, we're just going to go full in on these guys because we've got to bring in some quarterbacks, and I think some corners and running backs would be a big need as well. But now we enter the final week. This is where we have to make some tough decisions. One of those decisions is on some playing time here. We went from having a good grade all the way down to an F here for the 4-star Jordan Hall. That's a little bit surprising to me because we only have one guy here. So even if we take off Ogboku, I still don't think Jordan Hall's actually going to want to come here for some reason. It also looks like we're going to have to pull off on Micah Welch. Tennessee, they have the week 4 visit, and we already trailed that one. So he's definitely going to be one we're going to have to cut. Yet again, despite all of our best efforts, when it comes to these corners, they're just so hard to bring in. And I think we're going to have to cut ways with all 3 because there is no more points we can give. Similarly, we're going to have to do the same here with Tanner Johnson, the hybrid safety. Good news was he was the second safety on our list, so we're still looking okay. And after making all of these decisions, we do have 6 spots available. And that is with us still holding on to that defensive tackle in Jordan Hall. Looks by all means he's not going to be joining us because of that deal breaker, but sometimes that changes in the final week, so I'm just not going to touch it, and I'm going to cross my fingers. And these are the players I'm looking to round out our class with a last-ditch effort. Micah Ford, you all know I'm a Stanford guy, so of course I'm going to try to bring him in, another elusive bruiser. Owen Allen, trying to bring in a utility fullback here, another tight end. Trying to bring back Carney. That was one of our top offensive linemen that was returning that actually looked to transfer away. Another offensive lineman and another person for the DB class. But now it's time to meet this class. Fingers crossed it's a good one. And we do bring in the 4-star corner. That's a first in this challenge. And we do get the commit from the 4-star DT. Again, this is why I left him on the board. And we bring in my Stanford guy in Micah Ford. But I'm not sure he's going to be the starting running back. That's because not only did we bring in 1 4-star, we brought in 2. So we are going to have a really good running back group altogether. This was a very, very successful class, I feel like, even with that hiccup there after week 1. We do miss out on a couple of edge rushers, but with that, we do at least land one in Woodfork. Additionally, we got the big DT, we got the 4-star DT, we brought in some linebackers as well, 2 quarterbacks. We're going to see if Cameron Dyer, Malachi Nelson, or the freshman we had on roster, who's going to be the starter there. Now, we did miss out on Javion Cole. I was really hoping we would end up getting him. But again, we only miss out on 3 of these targets at the end. That's really good. And that leaves us with the 30th ranked class, which is almost double what we normally get here in just one season. And the training results are in. And we still got a quarterback competition here. as Nelson and Dyer come in the same overall. Very similar speed, acceleration. Throw power, though, does favor Nelson. Accuracies, I would say, also favor Nelson. Throw on the run is fairly similar. Neither are good under pressure. We're just going to have to play that one by hot hands, but I think we're going to start with Nelson. And obviously, he's going to be handing that ball off. Ford also did see a good upgrade. Overall, we have a stout running back room. We're going to look to make sure we're rotating those guys heavily this year. I'll show you how to do that. Owen Allen, the fullback, up to an 84 overall. 3-4 deep at receiver with that +7 to Malachi Coleman. Going to have that Malachi to Malachi connection. Tight end wise, +2 for Norfleet. Now, Whiting was the man who was originally here, and he's going to drop to tight end 2 because he didn't see as many upgrades, though he does have a good blend of physical attributes. Both of these guys do. In fact, I'd say we're 3 deep at tight end, and we've got a pretty strong offensive line as well. A couple well-roundeds coming in at 79 at left. Strong interior here. Howard a 76, that was? Yeah, 76. I mean, maybe he'll get the start there. We do have some competition with some backup guards. But this looks to be the strongest offensive line we've had yet in one of these rebuilds. Defensive line, a little bit lackluster on the outside. Thompson does come in a 77 with another 77 in Woodfork, the one guy we were able to get to commit at edge. Vaughn did get a good boost. Not so much for the other backups on the other side. Obviously, we brought in Jordan Hall. That a bit of a surprise. Ogboku also getting a little bit of a boost. I think we're going to try to get both these guys out on the field. And I think the 343-pounder is going to be our nose tackle. I think his weight even went up. For linebackers, I did shuffle these guys around. Most of these starters were originally on this team. Grayson Howard moved from Mike to Sam up to an 87. 86 here with Efford. And we also get an 83 with Jordan IV. So a very strong linebacker group. Again, we'll probably try to get them rotated heavily. Washington up to an 87 is going to try to lock things down for us because Gilmore didn't get any better. John Mitchell did. Now, who's going to get the start? The secondary outside spot. It looks like it will still be Gilmore. Tackling is pretty similar between the two. So, again, I think that might just be a hot hand situation. I think the deal breaker probably comes down to that awareness. So Gilmore on the outside, a little bit less speed, a little less acceleration, but Mitchell in the slot with that speed and acceleration. Hopefully we get some good picks. All in all, not too bad of a cornerback room there. A really strong-looking safety group as well. Ali comes on in. A pretty strong safety group to round out with a decent enough kicker. I think we've got a shot here. Now, of course, as a reminder, we got 4 different levels of success here. Bronze means we just win a bowl game, which Georgia Tech hasn't done for a couple seasons. For silver, we need to make it to that conference title game, not just win it, just make it. Same for gold, but with the playoffs. And then if we win the whole on thing, well, then we could win platinum. With that, we are ready to take the field, and by take the field, I mean start simming through this schedule, and I did get it as close as I possibly could to their real schedule. All the opponents are the same, outside obviously with Mercer versus the wannabe Piranhas. Besides that, everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. So fingers crossed as we get this season on it. And that would be right on through Colorado, 38-24, enough to now get us ranked ahead of a big game against number 4 Tennessee. Fortunately, this time, the Volunteers would be volunteering for the big win. 21 points we gave up in the third, and a 52-31 loss. The good news is we at least get the rebound game against FCS wannabe Piranhas, leading us up to the rivalry game and the kickoff of conference play. And I did say we'd be keeping an eye on the quarterback play, and well, Malachi Nelson is playing extremely well right now. 71%, 10 touchdowns to 1 turnover. That's a really good rate, 10 touchdowns to 1 turnover. I mean, honestly, can't be too bad about that. How well is the running game going here, and are we really splitting the carries decently? Malachi Nelson is running just about as often as our primary back, though his running success has not been very high. But the actual 2 running backs are running very well. But I do want to see if we could do a better job of splitting those carries. So we're actually going to switch up the wear and tear sub strategy here to be keep fresh. And on top of that, we're going to go ahead and boost this up. I don't know how much this is going to affect actual sim games, but we're going to see if we get a better split here with that input. But by split decision, it goes to Clemson. Our opening ACC game is 32-30 to our rival. Number 5, that would have been a big win for us, and we just couldn't get the 2-point try there in overtime. So through the first 4 games here, we are split 2-2, but we start ACC play with a loss. I think we could get through a good chunk here because really the rest of our ACC play is rather easy, but we do finish against Georgia. I might have talked a little too soon, as the next 4 games we would also split. And that leaves us with just 3 more conference games, and then another big-time battle for the state of Georgia. While it felt like we maybe had a shot here, we had an easy ACC schedule at 2-3, and with 3 teams undefeated, it looks like yet again we're aiming for a bronze medallion. As it typically happens when the weight comes off the shoulders, well, then you go pick up 3 straight wins, leaving us with 1 final regular season game. And while we would climb up a little bit higher in the conference standings, again, we are well on the outside, not even looking in. But what is at play is which bowl game we're gonna get. Right now, looking like we're gonna be the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl against Ole Miss, but that could change as we go try to claim that Governor's Cup. And while the game would start well, it would fizzle out pretty soon. 14 points is all we'd put up in the first quarter. We were leading 14-0. Georgia then answered, and Georgia then ran away with it. So we'd have a bowl game still on the table against Kentucky. And while it may be for less wins than the team had last year, a win in this bowl game would be the best season this school has had, arguably, since 2016. So to the field, we actually go, a rainy bowl game as we try to pull off that bronze medallion. Conquer this challenge with at least a bowl game win, something Georgia Tech has not done since 2023. It's time for the Gasparilla Bowl. We look to take down Kentucky and end this challenge. And we are underway with some lines on the field and a quick score for Tech. However, Kentucky does answer. Come the end of the first quarter, we do get into the second here. With a good drive, 2 back-to-back drives not resulting in any points. We do get that field goal, however. Kentucky with a couple late scores of their own. They take the lead through half, 17-10, and have widened in that lead up by 17. I think it's time we look to slow this game down, find out what is happening and how we could make something happen maybe for ourselves. Don't want another failed challenge here, but Kentucky is driving. Already up 17, the defense having a hard time stopping them. We at least knock that pass away and set up a field goal shot here to take a 20-point lead. Well, let's at least jump into this next offensive drive and try to figure out what's going on here, why we've started games well but have fizzled as the game's gone on. It's a good start. Gain of about 9.5 there for Taylor, who's been the primary back this year. Malachi Nelson changing up the play here. Going to send a bunch up to the top, tight at the bottom. With a little RPO, good lead blocks. Not where he should have ran it. He had all the space up the sideline. Perhaps that's why. And actually, check it. It's Dyer in the game. Well, we might have figured out what happened. Our starting quarterback is out of the game. Handoff down the middle here with nothing but space. Rumbling forward to the Oppo 45. Goes Owen Allen. And he will spread out wide to the top here. Innermost of the receiver set with one down to the bottom. Another play action, quick hit RPO style. Georgia Tech, at least right now, is driving, but with limited time left in this game, Dyer trying to lead the group. Another play action here. And he's going to get sacked through 2 blockers. Marcus dealing that hit. That'll be a big loss for the Yellow Jackets, making it 3rd and 11. As they stay with a spread look here. Another rush picked up well from the running back, throwing out late for the first down, but they're not going to give him that forward progress. And for the first time ever in one of these challenges, we're jumping in because I'm not going to let the CPU mess this one up. 4th and inches. And we're going to need some blocks over on that left-hand side here. With the keep, it is Stewart breaking through a couple weak arm tackles. That is a massive first down and a great time to check on in. Taylor back behind the line. The 1st and 10, he stays in to block. Dyer shuffling forward. He'll look to scramble, sliding. And Horace Lockett injured. Man up front here for Kentucky. As he makes his way to the sideline, it will be a 2nd and 8 following the 2-yard scramble from Dyer. Going to need a little bit more chunk plays here. Dyer under pressure, and he's going to get sandwiched between 3 different Kentucky defensive linemen. Despite building one of the strongest lines we've had yet in these challenges, not seeing great blocking or quarterback reading those blocks either. 3rd and 13, they bring extra. It's a throw that's going to be picked off. The accuracy there from Dyer just a little bit too high. It's Croft Jr. with the pick, and that just might be the nail in the coffin. And I'm sure those are wondering what happened to Malachi Nelson. Well, he actually had a knee cartilage tear. We also lost an offensive lineman with a partial PCL tear, and who knows how long they've been out for. This one doesn't seem all too promising for us getting that bronze. Good news is defense pulls up a quick stop, they punt away, and we'll see the offense one more time. But it seems like the trend for the Yellow Jackets is going to continue. A really good, promising season, but post-game success just hasn't been there as that one's almost picked off. And this seems to be the accuracy decision on why we did not go with Dyer earlier this year. Big running lane for Taylor, though he avoids the first down there trying to cut backwards. He's a north-south receiver. Maybe he should run north and south. Leaving 3rd and 1 here. Going to be an empty set. 3 options at the bottom, 2 up top. They rush an extra man. Dyer loads up for that deep ball here in the rain, and he's going to hook up with his man all the way down to the Oppo 16. They're running hurry up here. It's still down 20. As we approach 2 minutes left to play. I wasn't sure that ball was going to get there, but Dyer put it all behind it. With 3 up top, 1 down the bottom, looks to conclude this drive with a touchdown. Under pressure again, he fires, tipped up, and couldn't get back to it. And we'll give the offense at least a moment to catch their breath. But we need this score prior to the 2 minutes. Dyer, with nothing but time, settles for the check down there to Taylor. They're going to need to get back to it here quickly. But they might not get that ball snapped in time, and indeed they will not. They're going to have to try to get a whole lot done with next to no time on the clock. 3rd and 6. Taylor motions up top, setting up a little screen pass his way. Good spin, and he will fight into that end zone. It's a touchdown here for Georgia Tech. The swing pass to Taylor. But 30-17, this one is still in the hands of Kentucky. The only shot here for the Yellow Jackets is an onside recovery, and it ricochets still on the ground and recovered by the Wildcats. And that will be your bowl game. Such a talented roster here for Georgia Tech. But it is a straight-up fail here for the challenge. And for Coach Fotu, that means no medallion for him this time. But once again, I do want to thank Loco here for his suggestion of Georgia Tech, and they will be in line for a redo later. If you want to see that, make sure you let me know down in the comments below. And also let me know what schools you want to see next. But as for where Coach Fotu will be next, well, that's going to be the middle of the country as we are going to Kansas. with a suggestion from Jaron Henderson. Appreciate that suggestion. And to make sure you don't miss out on any more of these one-year challenges, if you haven't already, hit the bear icon in the bottom right corner and tag team it by scrolling down and hitting that bell icon as well. So not only do you subscribe, but you get notified when everything happens here on this channel. We will be back next time as we try to get back into the win column.